Father Ken Barker from the Missionaries of God. So I'm just wanting to share something about forgiveness today. You know, when Peter came to Jesus and said, how many times should I forgive my brother? 7 times? Jesus said, not 7. 77 times, meaning always. That's a tall thing, isn't it? And then Jesus told a parable about the servant who owed his master 10,000 talents, which is something equivalent to about $6 million. And he couldn't pay it, and he just begged time to be able to pay it. And the master felt so sorry for him that he cancelled the debt. And then that servant went out, and he found a fellow servant who owed him just 100 denarii, which is the equivalent of about $10. And he throttled him and said, I'll throw you into prison until I get my payment. So when the master found out about this, he was very angry with the servant, and he threw him out to the torturers. You see, the problem was lack of gratitude. He had his debt cancelled. And the reality is that we've had a debt owing to our sin before God cancelled when Jesus hung on the cross for our sake. He cancelled that debt for you and for me. And so out of gratitude for what he's done, because we've received so much, we should give much. A brother or sister does an offence against us, and it's nothing compared to our offence against God and the forgiveness we've received, and we refuse to forgive. It's time to let go of that clenched fist that you've held up against somebody. Let it go. That's what forgiveness means. Let it go and withdraw the judgment. Give the judgment over to God, and then you walk free. Otherwise, you're tied up inside yourself. It's like as if you've been thrown out to the torturers. You know, the most tortured people I know are people who can't forgive. They've held this resentment deeply in their hearts. And oftentimes it can affect them physically because they can't forgive. So there's a big grace in learning to forgive. And forgiveness is a decision. I want to tell you a story about, a true story, Margaret in south of London. Her son Jimmy was just having his 16th birthday. They had, I think, 7 children. A good Catholic family. Jimmy went down to get something nice at the baker's shop for his birthday party, and his brother went with him. Now his brother got into a fight with a fellow guy there, and they were sort of slinging at one another, and Jimmy went over to try and help. But this other fellow got so angry with Jimmy, he went out and he got a big shard of glass that they have in baker shops, and he just smashed it over Jimmy's head. And it went through his carotid artery, cut it open, and he died in his brother's arms almost instantly. And so the family were at the scene very quickly and so upset. And it wasn't long before they had an interview with, and they allowed it to happen, with the television cameras. And they asked Margaret, what do you feel? And she said, well, we are terribly distressed. We've lost the sunshine of our lives, our young son Jimmy, who was such a wonderful young man. But we'll always have good memories of him because of the beautiful lad that he was. But what I'm thinking of now is the mother of the other boy, the boy that killed my son. She'll always have to live with the fact that she has a monster of a child, and he'll be in prison for a long time, and she'll have to live with that. And she said, I want that family to know that we forgive them. And they said, why would you forgive? She says, well, I can't continue the cycle of violence in this world. You know, we believe in a God who's broken that cycle of violence. Jesus, when he hung on the cross for our sake, broke that cycle of violence, and he cried out, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So she showed us how to forgive. This is such a beautiful gift, you know. And to forgive is not to condone, it's not to excuse. That boy had to go to prison, but he knew he was forgiven, which makes all the difference, by the grace of God. And you know, when John Paul II, for example, was shot in St. Peter's Square, as soon as he revived, miraculously mind you, he went straight to the prison where Ali Aggar, who had shot him, was incarcerated, and he spoke to him to forgive him. But he didn't ask to have him released from prison, because you see, justice must be done. But forgiveness from the heart is what's really a key thing that we need to have. This is the amazing grace that's available to you too. There may be someone in your life who you have not forgiven. So I invite you to think about that. And now make that decision under God's grace. Just to let go of that fist within you. Give it over to God. Choose to let it go. And let God do the rest. And bless his name.